Today I'm taking a look at a classic series by Stan Lee and John Buscema, the Silver Surfer's first ongoing series. But you know what? This isn't the way to do it. Let's make it an unboxing. Welcome back to Read Your Comics. My name is Daryl. I am your host, and I am once again unboxing a Taschen book after taking advantage of the 50% off sale this summer. The sale was a couple of weeks ago, but this actually just arrived in the mail about a week later. I'm going to unbox it, see if I got a numbered edition. I don't know if I did or didn't. And then we'll just take a quick flip through and look through the book and soak in the quality of these Taschen books. So, as I said, I haven't opened this yet. I'm going to cut very carefully down this because I don't want to mess up this lovely packing box. It's nice that they show up on my porch looking like this. This box is a great storage container. I keep all my Taschen books in their shipping boxes like this, even though they would look fantastic on the shelf. Thankfully, they wrap it in plastic so you don't have those packing labels just stuck directly to the box. Let's take a look at the back side too. This will basically mirror what the inside book will look like. Got the famous first edition. One thing these Taschens are doing, if you feel like these books are way too big for size reference, there's your standard size book. They're starting to make a more like omnibus size. They're a little bigger than a standard comic, but not XXL like these are. I think they've only done Spider-Man Volume 1 so far. It hasn't been on the 50% off sale, but I have the big one, so I'm not going to get it. But for those of you that would love to look at these books, they are starting to make a standard size editions. All right, here's our massive book. As I said, the box just kind of mirroring, got that Kirby cover on the back, John Buscema on the front. And now we're going to find out if I had a numbered edition. Let's get this saran wrap off very gently. Try to find a good place to just poke the hole with our knife here. I just want to get enough to get my finger up in it. Just go down that seam, and it should just come right off. So if you've never watched one of my videos where I'm looking at one of these Taschen books, they have kind of a fabric cover. You might be able to see like the pattern in the screen from the texture on it. Look how massive this thing is compared to these two. Look at that. I'm looking forward to seeing what the extra features are in here. Now, you should see if I have a numbered edition. They number, I think, the first like 5,000 of them or so. Last time I got a Spider-Man Volume 2, and it was number 99. So let's see what I got on this bad boy. I love these blue line pages they put in here, the negative. All this is looking fantastic. Should be coming up on that numbered page. Here it is right here. It's definitely a numbered edition, famous first edition. What? Number 19? Holy cow. Holy cow. I'm in shock. I thought number 99 was impressive. Number 19? Holy cow. All right. Definitely going to keep this copy nice. What does that actually mean for them? I don't know. They print off like thousands of these, but the first 5,000 they put in this numbered plate. So it's just something that commemorates the first ones off the press. This one was in the first 20. Holy cow. Holy cow. All right, let's see what kind of extra material we got. We got a nice Z fold. That's pretty awesome looking. And I would think those first, I think they make like 1,000 of them that come in the nice like slip cases, and I haven't bought any of those because they don't go on the 50% off sale, and they're like $600 brand new. I would think that these in the first 100 really would have been all in that bunch, but maybe that's a different print run altogether. All right, a Sal Buscema, brother of John, doing an intro here. Look how nice that looks. Huge, and again, just for size comparison, standard size comic. So you really get it blown up. Now, if you're not familiar with these Taschen books, what they do is they work with CGC. Not a fan of CGC, but they work with them to get the highest graded copy possible. And they open it up and they take super high resolution photographs of those pristine condition copies. And then they do a little digital touch up, just, cleaning up little spots here and there, just so you're getting as much of that original feel of the books as you can. Like this is on a semi-coated paper, these pages are, but once we get into the comics themselves, they're on an uncoated paper that is just like a thick archival print. Here's just a nice scan of the original art for the cover of #1. And it's a shame that we don't really get like a good Stan Lee intro for this because it obviously has come out after his death. What I thought was crazy that the Taschen book for this Silver Surfer collection came out before they got to the FF issues with Silver Surfer. So they've only done one volume of FF so far. Great blow up of that classic panel the first time we see him. And this is something you get that's, this isn't like a full blown artist edition where you're going to get full issues. I think there is an artist edition of John Buscema that includes a lot of Silver Surfer pages. Um, Probably where they got some of this. Look, Stan even signed that one in '83. Yeah, this is from FF 53, actually. I was just looking at that thinking, that's a Kirby page, not a Buscema page. Wow. Look at that lovely blow up. I can't wait until they do these in the get to these books in the Silver Surfer ones. I'll get all these Taschen books for the FF run as long as the Kirby ones are still going. Ha! Tales to Astonish 92. Right there. That's the first time Silver Surfer appears outside of the FF. It's straight from the Doom storyline where he steals his powers and he leaves Doom's castle at the end, and then immediately the next month appears in Tales to Astonish. Some nice original art. Look how they whited out whatever they'd done to her hair. I don't know if they just like completely changed her hair or what was going on there. Speaking of those FF pages, these look like the color guides. It's kind of cool that those exist. And here's some Buscema pages, original art. So well-worn territory for the stories inside. This extra material makes these books a premium product because there is a omnibus that collects all those FFs. I have those masterwork editions that I've had for years, but they don't have all this kind of material in it. Nothing like a trench coat and a fedora to hide from the public. Nobody will recognize you in that. Here's some Mephisto pages from original art. Look at that page or panel. It's a shame, too, this original art has this little chunk taken out of it down here. Wow, look at that Kirby page. I love seeing the blue line and stuff on original Kirby work. Oh, it's so great. Silver Surfer graphic novel. It'd be cool if that was reprinted in this. I'm pretty sure this is just the 18 issues of the original solo series, though. Beautiful stuff happening here. So the covers will have the coated paper as if they were real covers, but then you turn the page and you'll get the inside ad here, but then we don't have coated paper. It's like a heavy version of a newsprint. So, you know, there's some thickness and weight to it. One thing I love about these Taschen books, because they take the original scans, is you get a great approximation of the original color. Now, I follow Jose Villarrubia on social media. I love his content. He's a great colorist. He was pretty critical of this book, you know, admitting that, yeah, it's better than most reprints we've gotten. Like, again, these things have the oversaturated pages. Like, just for some quick comparison here. I mean, look at the difference between this recolor and this right here. This is a scan from the original issue, though, so it definitely had that yellow and red streaks happening, whereas they recolored it with this white streaks here. Changed the whole, like, background and everything. These are really recolored. Look, even the lettering completely recolored. Didn't realize how much these were changed. Let's look at this page. I've only ever owned an original copy of Silver Surfer number 4. So I've never had a number 1. Look at this. So this is how I've read these. Quite a bit different with the yellows and magentas over here. They just use a lot more spotted white. Spotted white for the sun. That one's blue. And part of the reason these get recolored and the colors are so different is they don't have the original color guides for this, except they have the original issues on hand. Like, there's like a catalog of it, I'm sure, that when they're recoloring it for this stuff, why they don't just go and look and be like, oh, they used yellow right here and used yellow right there. You know, fix some like obvious coloring mistakes where a hand got colored the same color as the pants. You know, fix stuff like that. But why change completely what's going on the page here? Like, I mean, look, he's wearing red here, yellow here. Anyway, we could sit there and compare that for hours with all these. This is a great looking book. I'm just kind of going to flip through it fairly quick because I'm not taking the time to go over the whole storyline here. Oh, okay, so those pages, original art pages, were the color guides for these, not the original FF issues. I should have spotted that. But you can really see the Ben-Day dots blown up. And that may be some of the issues with the color reproduction that Jose had. It's so blown up, some stuff is just not going to look as saturated as it did in the original copies. A fun one to compare it with, and I have some of the later issues, are the fantasy masterpieces that they reprinted this series in. And to look at this and compare it with those original reprints and see how close they got the color approximation, because those masterworks I was just showing are definitely newer. Well, from the 90s at least, 90s recolors. Sorry. Shalabal had her moment this summer. I actually liked the Shalabal Silver Surfer more than I thought I would. I'll admit it. I was disappointed when they first announced that it was going to be Shalabal instead of Norin Rad, but you know, I have an open mind to give anything a try, and I thought the storyline worked really well to make Shalabal the Silver Surfer in that instance. I still want Norin Rad to show up in future movies. It worked for that FF movie. That Galactus. Always love a big Galactus page. After Kirby, Buscema probably does the best Galactus. Hands down. He definitely does the best Surfer. And in a lot of ways, I actually like Buscema's Surfer a little bit more than Kirby's Surfer in some ways. But if you were asking me to pick between the two, it's probably, what book am I looking at in the moment? I'm looking at Buscema right now. I'm like, I love that Buscema Surfer. If I was looking at a Kirby book, I'd be like, yeah, this Kirby Surfer is kind of the best version. It's a great splash page. This series is funny if you look at the last page of every issue. Almost every last panel has the surfer in some kind of like emotional turmoil. So you get these back ads. I don't know. I'm on the fence of whether or not they should have included the original ads. It would make the book a lot thicker, so I'm definitely in favor of not making this any bigger than it has to be. These are books you already kind of have to sit at a table to look at. You can't lay in bed with these, you know, sitting on your chest reading them, unless you're wanting like a good workout lifting them. I love the townsfolk of the little European town. Or is this New York? It's hard to say. Can't remember in the story. It's a cool ad though. Get that Steranko cover. So you get the house ads, I guess. And they might do that for page turns. I'm gonna go through a little faster. Just try to pause on any panel that like really jumps out at me. Like these of the Badoon here. This is a race of aliens that would last for quite a while. So it is cool you get those house ads. Makes sense to get rid of the other ads. This is a cool layout. The way the figure is kind of taking up the whole page, almost like a splash page. But then you got the two inset panels as well. The occasional ad like this. I don't know if the other books have the ads like this. I can't recall off the top of my head. That's kind of funny. I wonder if they're doing that for the page turns though. In some cases where it says continued after next page, they're keeping at least one ad. Yeah, because that one it says continue after next page, and then we got this ad. That looks really cool, that Cheerios ad. And like I've said, you see the Ben-Day dots and the printing variations, like where a little bit more ink fell on the page right there and right here. You know, that's not on purpose. That was just the way the rollers were back then. Look, emotional turmoil. Here's our Mephisto issue. It's a great one there. Anytime when the surfer's getting angry, it always usually makes for a great panel. And you know, Stan Lee kind of criticized John Buscema for some of these issues. He used to tell a good story about going to see Stan, and Stan just kind of ripping apart the issues, like, you know, just tearing them down as far as like, this needs to be better, this needs to be this or that. Wasn't enough like Jack. Of course, he left Jack out of this series, and Stan added all the mythos that we really know with Zenla and Shala Bal, etc. Such a great panel. Look at that. So great. That power pose. This feels more Kirby-like, this pose. Duel in the depths. I like to isolate some of these panels too and really kind of soak them in. And the line work, these like little strokes in the background. Look at them here too. Just these little dashes. Another great montage page. This is the stuff Buscema really wanted to draw. right, let's get to the Thor issue, and then we'll kind of skip to the emotional turmoil. Then we'll kind of skip to the Kirby issue and call it a day. So, as I said, this was the only one that I ever owned an original copy of. Never really tried to put the series together back when these were more affordable, but I ran across that one time and had the money to get it, so I grabbed it. I don't have it anymore, but I've got these beautiful reprints of it. If anything, I wish I had it just to compare it to this issue. And this is one I think that Stan really kind of gave John a hard time about, and then years later said, you know, that Silver Surfer stuff, that was some of the best stuff we ever did. So we'll get to these Asgardian pages. You definitely see the Conan happening there. So his hair right here almost looks like it's been redrawn. I wonder if he drew his hair a little different and it didn't match the consistency of how Kirby drew his hair. And maybe that's something Stan kind of ripped on, because I would never really picture Buscema drawing this like cut bangs quite like that. Kirby drew Thor that way. These looks of anguish on the Surfer's face. That's something that Buscema really nailed in this series, is just pulling the emotion out of the Surfer. Loki was a good follow-up villain to Mephisto. Man, that's a classic looking panel. Look at the Kirby crackle energy coming off of their arms. Great panel here. Look at this one. The floating head of Shalabal over top. And this is the things Buscema really wanted to draw. These like medieval Nordic banquet halls. That's the stuff that he really liked to draw. That's a great panel. I feel like this panel may have even been used for some promo in-house ads and stuff. Got a Conan looking dude here too. He was warming up. That's what he really wanted to draw. Great sequence here as well. Emotional turmoil. I like the way this is written. Who speaks for the Surfer? And I've never read any of these letters, even though I said I had this issue. I don't remember reading this letter column. All right, let's just kind of skip to the Kirby issue. I mean, there's still lots of fun stuff in this, but we don't really need to go through every single issue and kind of get a quick flip through there. I mean, this is 18 issues. You all don't want to be here for 18 hours. All right, here we go. I just want to see. Emotional damage. All right, here's the Kirby issue that they rightly put this cover on the back page. Kirby came on for this, and I think the plan, at least in Stan Lee's mind, was for Kirby to take over the title, but Kirby already had one foot out the door. He felt just burned from the, you know, not getting the writing credit, not getting the merchandise reprint t-shirt credit. I think Stan doing this Silver Surfer series with John Buscema instead of him, that was also very damaging to their relationship. But he comes on for this final issue, which was not meant to be the final issue, and he really wanted to take the Surfer in a different direction. Look at those blocky hands, blocky feet. You really get to see some brushwork here. Herb Trimpe is the inker on this issue. I don't know if I knew that. I don't know how often Trimpe would ink Kirby. That's an interesting inking choice. And, you know, fan reception to this book, because it started out with that 25-cent price tag, doesn't seem like a lot to us, but that was 10 cents more than what everything else was at the time. So I think that kind of hurt it. And then Stan really tried to get philosophical with this book. Look at that face. What a great face there. And here's that page we saw the original art of. Man, that's beautiful. I love that pose. See, now I'm going to say the surfer. Now I'm going to say the Kirby surfer is the best. You ever seen that movie in, what's that movie with Denzel Washington called? I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. And they're in a submarine and they have an argument. There's two Navy men arguing about who had the better surfer. Yeah, you have to do the ads like this, right? The half-page ads. Now, in later reprints, they would actually move this back over here. This feels washed out from the original copy scan. Very subtle shades of blue. Ben-Day right here and right here. Very subtle. You kind of see it right there as well. It's the value on this background as well. You can see the roller just didn't quite hit it all over. It almost looks like a fingerprint right there. The lockjaw biting on his board. I think the surfer with the Inhumans was a good matchup. Look at that panel. That's an interesting angle. That's squat. Emotional damage. Next, the savagely sensational new Silver Surfer. But there would not be a next. At least not for a while. The history. Alright, let's see how this book wraps up and call it a day. Storylines and credits. So you get a synopsis of each issue. Get a Kirby sketch right here, kind of small. I wonder if that's actual size. Let's see. This says it's from the 1975 New York Comic Art Convention, and it's one of the rarer pieces of Kirby art of the surfer that there is. I'm sure that's been in a Jack Kirby collector I've seen. Number 13. So, what did Frank Brenner do in this issue? Did he ink some issues? I didn't know that. Pretty interesting. More original art sprinkled throughout. It's a beautiful page. That's Sal Buscema doing that one. Oh, this is from the Defenders. So the only thing I would say that would make this a better book is if they'd at least included FF 48, 49, and 50. It's so big though. It's hard to it's hard to say that they should have included it, quite honestly. Because the first, I think, 6 issues are double size, so that's really 12. And then you have another 12 issues on top of that. So this is one of the thicker Taschen books. It's actually one of the slightly more expensive ones by about $20, probably for that reason. I'm glad I was able to pick it up on this recent sale. Taschen has a sale twice a year, usually one around February and one in August. I still need the X-Men, the Hulk, and Avengers Volume 2. That's all I got for this one. Until next time.
Read your comics.